Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.
Linda Boucher of Brookfield is a Republican candidate in the 14th Assembly District. The primary is August 11th. Linda, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you. I'm glad to be your guest.
Well, can you tell me, there's so many issues out there. What do you consider to be your top issue, the reason you're running?
Right now, currently, it's the effectiveness of the mandates and regulations that affect small businesses and schools, as well as supporting the police officers and the people out there trying to keep our communities safe.
Let's start with the police officers. You know, Governor Evers has recommended a package of 9 bills that would, among other things, ban chokeholds and ban no-knock warrants and set universal statewide standards for those that want to be police officers. Do you support anything in the governor's bill or any type of police reforms?
Well, I strongly support all facets of law enforcement in the state and would never agree to any legislation that would defund our police resources in any way. Currently, there are federal laws where the police misconduct in both criminal and civil statutes, and these cover the actions of the state, the county, and the local law enforcement officers. So I believe that the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964 already addresses this issue. And I don't believe that there's a plague of violations in our state that would dictate any type of extraordinary remedies beyond the federal law, which already exists. Like any other occupation, there are a few people who should not be there because they're not doing an efficient job and they're not doing them properly. And I don't think we should label an entire group of committed, well-trained individuals, police officers, and anyone in law enforcement in this state by a few that need to be weeded out.
Okay, thank you. New subject. The pandemic is going to mean there's less state tax revenues, less state tax collections. If you're elected, it might be a tough choice. Do you cut current spending or do you raise taxes and fees? What are your thoughts on that unfortunate choice?
Well, I would not be in favor of removing any tax caps because I believe there are better alternatives to property taxes for funding the municipal services.
Okay.
And without alternative funding options, more and more municipalities are going to have to try to make up for the rising costs. And they might be forced to go to referendum. The referendum is usually it's very time consuming, it's inefficient, and it's expensive. And a lot of times a referendum is not even worded as such that people even know what they're trying to address.
So you would keep the caps and the limits on property tax levies in place. I'm just trying to clarify, correct?
Yeah, yes, I would.
Okay.
I believe that a user tax is a better, more efficient solution for funding the rising municipalities' services. And it's a little softer on the pocket of the senior citizens.
Okay.
And it's it's a fair tax because everyone, is a contributor of services and things of that sort. So referendum is just not the answer. They're difficult to, they just make the system more dysfunctional because you keep having more and more referendum. It doesn't pass the first time.
Okay, well, when you talk about user fees, do you think local governments should have the ability, the city of Milwaukee would like the ability to levy a local half-cent sales tax. Do you think local governments need alternative sources of revenue?
Yes, I did state that.
Okay.
Local governments do need alternative sources of revenue. Now we have to even become more and more creative because we depended on a lot of revenue through businesses which have been shut down. And so the whole collection of the tax base, the pie is actually maybe the same size, but there's a lot less going in the pot. So we have to become creative.
Do you think businesses have been too aggressively told to shut down? Do you think they should be encouraged to open up more? Or are you really concerned that the increase in the number of COVID positives has been so high recently, most recently 2 days ago?
So would you repeat?
Sure.
You kind of said a lot of stuff all in one breath. So
yes, I did, and I apologize for that. Have we been fair? Have we fairly treated businesses who need to reopen to restart the economy, or have we too aggressively told them, you need to shut down and scale back?
Well, in the Brookfield community, I think that maybe it was too aggressive at first.
Okay.
I'm particularly thinking of the restaurant business.
Okay.
It would have been nice if they would have listened to the restaurant and tavern owners. I know that the minute that it opened up, a lot of people went to those businesses without masks, and they're still doing it, and they're remaining healthy because the research on wearing masks is out. If you read the New England Journal of Medicine, the research on that from says that masks are not that effective. A lot of people don't even wear them properly. People who are in the medical field are trained how to put them on, how to store them, all things of that sort. So I do believe that we could have done a better job, and hopefully we will have a plan in the future to work with businesses so they're ready to be up and running in the case of any type of big wave, that the stakeholders know what to do, how to do it, and they have the support of the community.
Okay. Our neighboring state of Illinois just legalized recreational marijuana. What's your position on both medical and recreational marijuana?
Well, I think we can look to the states that have already legalized it, and we can look to California, Colorado, Illinois. I'll pick Colorado. And we do know that in Colorado, they had big waves of unemployment. They have tent cities. They were complaining about people defecating in the streets. There are people who are in need of the medical marijuana, but in the past, when we had controlled painkillers, I think it was called oxycodone, and the intention was to help just those people who were in need of it and regulate it. And what happened is that didn't work too well. People ended up broadening the scope, either selling it or distributing it, or people were getting it illegally, and doctors were not being responsible. And now we have a whole group of people who ended up being on methamphetamines and things of that sort. I think people are fooled when they say it's just recreational and that's all it will ever be used for. We already have problems with drunk driving, texting. What are we going to do with people who are on marijuana, and driving? It's a whole cultural change, a whole social change. In the state of Wisconsin, businesses can do drug testing, and how is that going to affect our employment? I think before there's any big decision on this, because it is so controversial and there's probably 50-50, I think we need to really look at the data and see what's there. But yes, be concerned and compassionate about those individuals who are going out of state and technically illegally getting what they need for their medical treatment.
Okay.
It should be interesting.
Thank you. The debate in the Capitol over who should draw the next set of congressional and legislative district lines. The Constitution says that the party in power in the Capitol should draw the next district lines, but the governor would like a People's Commission to draw the lines and then forward it to the legislature to enact. Do you see any merit in the governor's proposal?
Well, my only comment is that I do believe that it's probably going to end up in the Wisconsin courts, where it already seems to be headed, and they will probably have the final say. But I think no matter how you draw the lines, people are transient and people die, and people who necessarily replace the transients and replace the people who have now moved on are not going to be of the same political persuasion. So you're never going to get what 100% of the people consider as fair, no matter how you weigh it out.
Okay. Wisconsin has not been able to agree on a stable source of funding for our highways. Last year, the governor recommended an increase in the gas tax. 30.9 cents a gallon hasn't been raised in 10 years. Would you consider raising the gas tax to stabilize our highway funding?
I think I would have to meet with the constituents, the people in the 14th District Assembly who I am representing, and ask them how they feel. I think most people feel that our gas tax is high enough, but it's been a long time since they're raised, which would be the other side of the argument. But I'm here to represent the District 14, so I would ask my people here in District 14 how they felt about that, and that's what I would bring forward.
Okay, a couple questions on the pandemic. It not only means less tax revenues for state and local governments, but it puts a strain on our healthcare systems. We've seen how Wisconsin hospitals and hospitals nationally have treated COVID-19 patients. My question is, if you're in the legislature and voting on the next state budget, should hospitals get be a bigger priority than they might be in the current budget?
Well, I know I am not interested in state-owned health care facilities. That's one Pandora's box that I would not want to open.
Okay.
I think that we could do better by exploring the possibilities of community health departments and expanding possibly Badger Care, because there's people out there, individuals in vital need of healthcare services, and they're not currently being addressed. And I don't know if you know it, but hospitals nationwide made over $21 billion in Wall Street in 2017. So,
the governor would like Medicaid expanded. Do you have a position on expansion of Medicaid?
I would need more discussion regarding that. I don't know. I would like to see some data and see how other people are leaning that way.
Okay. If a business follows all the CDC protocols for COVID-19 to protect its customers and its employees, should that business be immune from frivolous lawsuits?
Well, we need to protect the businesses in our community that strive to give us the services that we need, the products that we all rely on. And we need to protect them. So I think that it's the critical jobs they're offering. I think they should be immune to any type of lawsuits due to, COVID-19. It's best to protect their employees and the customers from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay. As a member of the Elmbrook School Board, let me ask you this question. When school boards or local governments want to authorize major public works projects, should they have to give a preference to Wisconsin businesses? Now, one study found in 2015, out-of-state contractors got public works projects totaling $72 million, but that $72 million more than doubled to $146 million by 2018. Should local governments and school boards have to give a preference to Wisconsin businesses, Linda?
Well, we have. I don't want to advertise, so I don't want to say the name of the people that we work with. It's like, I think it's important to make sure that whoever is employed does the best job, but I don't think that we should say 100%. Sometimes the services that are needed or the expertise that is needed may not be available, especially with construction. You may not be able to find somebody in Wisconsin, because now even bidding out, sometimes you're bidding out, for a year in advance and or more. So you have to weigh the whole situation. Who can offer you? You have to consider who can offer you the best for an efficient price and who is available. So you always have to do what you can with what you have, where you're at. So it should always be our first priority, obviously, to reach out to the local community at that level first and see if they're available, if they have the skills, and if they can do it cost efficiently. So that would be kind of a pecking order. But to say absolutely we can't go out of state might limit the time frame in which you can have something done, and it might also rise up the cost and make it unfeasible for you to go with that bid. Okay.
We've talked about a number of issues. Is there any other issue that's important to your campaign that we haven't mentioned?
Yes, I'm very concerned about the mental health of everyone in our community, and I think we need to have some type of accessible, affordable mental health services, and maybe do like what Ron Johnson did with the Joseph Project, not just throw money out there, but say, here is a facility, this is what we're going to do. I don't know what that looks like. That takes a team of people to build and have a vision and bring it through. But I think that's needed with this. It was needed with the veterans, with PTS, and with the people who we are not talking about now, people with drug and alcohol problems and addiction problems, and now with COVID-19. I know people who are on a waiting list 6 months to see a psychiatrist. Now, those are people who have health insurance. What about the people who do not have health insurance, who are in need of mental health? We need to address that. And like I said, we need to find out how to do it. Because if we don't have a mentally healthy society, we can see already what happens.
Okay, and then my final question, do you want to highlight any differences between you and your primary opponent or opponents on August 11th?
Oh, yeah, I think one of the big things is that I'm able to hold both positions. I can still, one is partisan, one is nonpartisan. So yeah. I can bring the concerns of the community, which I've been closely intact with for the last 5 years, and bring those concerns to Madison and bring whatever Madison is talking about back to the community. I've been on the Legislative Engagement Committee. I'm chairperson of it, and I've been on it ever since I've been on the board. So it's always been something I've been ingrained with. I have been, like we mentioned before, a governing elected official for 2 terms. So the community is speaking out and they're demonstrating confidence in me. And the fact that my peers elected me for 2 consecutive years as the board clerk. I am a farmer, small business owner, and I think that's big, especially with what we're going through now. So even before the pandemic, I knew that small businesses needed a break and need help, whatever that looks like. But I think they a lower tax base so they can put that money into their employees and into their insurances and into their coverages and into more products and services to keep going. I'm a dedicated volunteer of the Republican Party, and I've been for and I do have endorsements and testimonies from people that will verify to that. I'm very visible in the Republican Party. I've been noted to be a common sense conservative, and I have a common sense conservative approach to everything I do. Last year I'm very proud of this, I worked with legislatures on my own, and I went one by one and I found out it was a bill that they were considering to implement, to have cursive writing back in the classroom. And I went to each one of them and I said, it's not obsolete due to technology. It's long and short-term memory. It's encoding and decoding and capitalization and punctuation and fine motor. It also connects the brain where, the synapse, where just on technology doesn't. And we also heard from one of our former graduates who goes to an Ivy League school that they won't let them use technology to take notes. So anyway, I reached out, and I'm very proud to say that they listened and they talked to other legislators, and it is now part of the curriculum in the state. I'm very proud of that. And I'm also proud of the very fact that at a recent school board meeting, I'm excited. At a recent school board meeting, we were approached and we were asked to waive the citizenship exam. We were told that legal counsel advised us to waive it due to COVID-19. It was on the agenda for approval, and that would have been approval, seconded and done. I pulled it as an item. I said it's our civic duty to make sure that every graduate from our school district knows what it is to be an American citizen, what our rights and freedoms and liberties are, in light of the fact that we had a socialist on the presidential ballot. Okay. And then the motion was made, and I called for a vote. And I'm very proud of that, because if I didn't, it would have passed. And this has been a state mandate since 2016. It's the same exam that citizens take. Anyway, I'm proud to say it was 3-3, and I was one of them that made sure that all graduates still have to take the civics exam for a graduation requirement. So I bring a lot of experience that I think my constituents do not bring to the table.
Okay, sounds good. Linda Boucher of Brookfield is a Republican candidate in the 14th Assembly District. The primary is August 11th. Linda, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye.
Thank you very much. And for those of you who would like to know more about me, you can go to my website, which is www.boucher4assembly.com. And it's important to put in the www and the .com, because it's a newer site, and otherwise you might go someplace else. I also invite you to read the article that was put on the Milwaukee Journal yesterday, and it compares all three of the candidates running in the 14th District Assembly. I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Campaign 2020 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Quick Trip, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, and Wisconsin Operating Engineers Local 139.